Welcome to The Value Shot. I'm Jeffrey D. Brown, publisher and editor of Guitar Business World. Now, these 16 original episodes were featured at the back of the show on Guitar Business Radio, where I talked about some basic foundational building blocks that you can use to help drive your business or career to the next level. Those segments have now been edited and repackaged for presentation here on GBW. They're short and full of simple but really powerful ideas you can put to use right now. I suggest listening to them in sequence to get the most out of them. So let's get to it. Now, in the first 4 episodes, I talked a lot about the 3 C's. That's our simple checkbox formula for working with anything related to marketing and sales. We're going to get more into the detail of that down the road a bit, but today I'm going to go in a little different direction. Although I have to tell you, this is still foundational stuff, so I'm only going to lay some of the groundwork for this. And by the way, even though I say I'm going in a different direction, keep in mind, all of this is related. It's all designed to work together in a relationship of sorts, like I described in the last value shot in episode 4. So I want to get into something that I've always referred to as the expectation game. And again, this phrase is not original to me, but how I use it and put it together maybe. And in the lead up to this episode, I promoted the segment with the title, The Perils of the Expectation Game. Now, most of what I talk about comes from many years of doing and learning over and over again. Lots of trial and error. Sometimes it felt like a lot of error, and often that turned into something we could definitely brand as failure. Most of us have had those. If you think you haven't, you may be delusional, but at the very least, you've missed out. I say that because I learned maybe 10 or 15 years ago that it was time to remove the word failure from my vocabulary. And again, I credit a great friend and teacher for this incredible piece of wisdom. But at that point, it became clear to me that everything I thought was a failure was in actuality research and development. That's right, R&D. Think about it. Now, in the real world of R&D, there's always a ton of things that don't work out. But if we're doing it right, we're learning something from everything that goes wrong. And over time, the sum totals of what we learn turn into knowledge and expertise. And remember in a previous episode, I said that knowledge and expertise are gained in a manner that is gradual, sequential, and cumulative, and this too from the same source. So try looking backwards at the things you may have seen as failures and start relabeling them as R&D. Then recognize all that you've learned from that and what knowledge and expertise you've gained as a result. This can be a very uplifting and positive exercise. Let me know what you think. Now on to the expectation game. And again, this is not complicated at the foundational level, but let's think about all the expectations most of us have. I've just arbitrarily divided them into 2 kinds, primary expectations and secondary expectations. Again, I don't know that this is original to me, but it's a simple process that makes things a lot easier. I think it makes sense when we have operational expectations, like the airplane will fly properly, the toaster will toast, the smartphone will be smart and work as it should, as long as you pay the bill and have a signal. You get the picture. Those are my primary expectations, and for sure, there are lots of them. My secondary expectations are not really expectations at all, but really it's just one giant generic expectation that you might look at as operating in the expectancy of the best possible result. And I try to apply this principle to anything that has a variable outcome. And for sure, there are lots of those in both our business and professional activities, as well as our personal lives. Now, when I speak about keeping your eye on the destination and keeping all your options open for how you're going to get there, for me, that means I'm operating on the idea that in most situations, there are always multiple pathways that will get you where you want to go. Or, very important, someplace better. When we create a very narrow expectation of how something should happen, we all too often set ourselves up for, at best, a disappointment. At worst, a failure. Sound familiar? When we let go of these kinds of secondary expectations and adopt a view that is more like this or something better, especially when something along the path doesn't seem to be working, we're then, in my opinion, far less likely to be derailed on our journey. Now, in the next episode, I'm going to talk more about how all this can affect your business or professional career, both negatively as well as positively. In the meantime, as always, thanks for listening, stay positive, and be aware of the perils of the expectation game. Well, I hope you got some value from that, but I do want to emphasize again the need to listen in sequence. And just so you know, there are brand new episodes of The Value Shot on the way, so be sure you're subscribed to Guitar Business World here on Substack to get those as well as new editorial features and valuable resources. As always, we love to hear from you with questions or thoughts. You can contact us directly at guitarbusiness@substack.com. guitarbusiness@substack.com. I'm Jeffrey D. Brown. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.